What's the E word? It's the E in DEI that everyone ignores, but we're here to bring it to the forefront. Welcome to the E word.
Hey, Brittany.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome everybody back to
The
the
E word.
E word.
Yes. We're getting this down. I'm proud of us. I
I know,
like it.
you gotta
I
try
like it.
it along, right?
Yes.
Well, the topic for today is about hair.
Ooh, ooh.
Can you believe we
Okay.
have to talk about hair when it comes to equity?
I cannot believe we've not talked about hair, especially as, um, the both of us have made, I guess, what people would say in corporate non-traditional hair choices,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm really excited for us to talk about hair. You want to kick us off?
I'm gonna
I
kick it.
like your hair, by the way. I like the side pony.
Oh, you think it's
Good.
time for it? Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
So
that's it.
for people who
Love it,
don't
love
see
it.
us, right? I
Yes.
have dreads, which was part of my own hair journey because I actually really wanted dreads for a really, 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 really long time. Okay. I wasn't sure how I was going to look in them or whatever, but the main reason I didn't do it, well, there's two reasons. One was I needed to be sure because, you can't go back. Right. So there's that. But the other huge reason was it going to be professional? Right. In the workplace? Was that going to hold me back? What was that going to look like? Because traditionally, our hair as Black people was not viewed as professional. And I'm a little older. And so I was doing all the things with my hair, but not that we shouldn't do all the things. It's just that I really, really wanted dreads. And I thought that I
Yeah, the
could have them.
Yes. And for those who can't see me, I went natural, I would say in college, and that was really kind of the moment where everyone was like, "Oh, this is a thing." But I also made the decision to wear, my hair is yellow, right? Or commonly commonly understood as blonde, right? And I am a highly melanated woman, and so that is a non-traditional choice, especially in the legal field. And sometimes I wear it curly, sometimes I wear it straight, but it's usually always a yellow color. And I made that decision because I had yellow undertones. And I said, well, brown and yellow are complementary colors, and that's what I'm going to do. So,
And it looks
yeah,
fabulous. Okay. It
thank
looks
you.
fabulous. All the time. All the time. But
Thank you.
there's a tribe, and I wish I remember what it was. I'd have to try and Google it
Yes,
real quick,
I know who you're talking about.
right?
Yeah,
They're blonde and
yeah,
white,
yeah.
right? It's like
They are naturally blonde.
so it's not
And
non-traditional, right? And it's
that's true. I have blonde people in my family, I have to say.
okay. There we
So,
there we go.
you know, you know. So, um, uh, yes. So it was a good, we both made stylistic choices that we felt kind of aligned with who we are, but also had to do something that I don't think many people do, which is to wonder how it was going to impact our ability to earn and advance in our careers, and typically for women and women identifying people, some you may be listening and thinking, oh, should I get bangs? Or
Mm,
I just got out of this relationship. I'm gonna cut my hair, right? I need a drastic change.
hmm
Um, but very often people who are not women of color, especially Black women, right, who have kinky, coily, curly hair, um, that is that way just by the nature it grows of the way it grows out of our scalp,
Right.
have been hair has been an issue for us quite literally for centuries. And quite literally for centuries, there have been laws about the way that Black women can wear their hair in the United States.
Insane. It's just
Black people, but more specifically Black
Black
women.
women. It's
Hmm.
insane. And some of that, I mean, there's been laws, but that's also in some ways conditioning, right? So obviously the more Black people embrace their natural hair, right? The more we see that these laws or these unspoken rules need to change, right? But unfortunately, they're not changing fast enough. So, like, we have a really recent example now of a Black teenage boy. His name is Daryl George. He goes to Barbers Hill High School in Texas. And I hope a lot of people are following this story, but he basically got in trouble because he has dreads, and apparently that is in violation of the school code. Specifically, if I understand this correctly, it's about the length, right? And he got in trouble like days after the Crown Act, which is a law apparently necessary, okay, to help people, people of color just wear their natural hair out their head and not be like discriminated against or retaliated against or punished in any way. But he was in violation of the school's code. And I just want to just from this article that I'm reading on NPR, there have been they cite multiple infractions of campus and classroom rules, including disruption of the in-school suspension classroom, failure to comply with directives from staff and administration, violation of tardy policy, and violation of dress and grooming policy, right? And these are all because he's just refusing not to cut off his dreads, which, by the way, he's not wearing hanging out like I am right now. He has it all tied up.
Right.
But it's not violating the school's length. As a matter of fact, it's short by the way he has it all tied up.
Hmm.
And it's part of who he is. And it's his hair. And apparently it's a violation. And
yeah.
and now he's being sent to an alternative school.
because because of his hair.
Because of his hair and probably all these other made up things, okay, that they've added because he's refusing to cut his hair or change his hairstyle.
And so my brain is firing off so many questions, but I would want to know, are there other boys who have long hair? Right? Because you look at the prototypical 80s rock star, right? Like he's had hair. Trends come and go.
Yeah.
Right? We had the Bieber cut.
Yeah.
But then my question is for the young men and male identifying students who may want to wear their hair long. The question is, well, what is the harm? Right? What is the harm to others in the way that they choose to express themselves? And you mentioned the Crown Act that was only passed in June of 2023, which prohibits discrimination based on hair texture, which ostensibly there seems to be an issue. And for those who are unfamiliar with dreads or locks or dreadlocks, what it is twisting curly, coily hair onto itself, right? And allowing it to lock. And it continues to grow.
Right.
and very often grows faster, right? In
Yep.
this
I can attest.
space. Yes. And um what I didn't hear you say was that there were any complaints about grooming or lice or anything that could be a public health concern.
I mean, if people look online and you look up Daryl George or just, this article,
Yeah,
Texas student suspended for his hairstyle is shifted to
I
an
think it looks good.
It looks fabulous. I'm like, how can I do that? Okay. Like, first of all, if he's doing that himself, I got to go to the hairdresser and get my hair done still, right? I still don't know how to take care of my own hair.
Listen, yes, yes. And so I wanted to, can I just give like a quick
Yeah,
historical kind of context to what we're dealing with?
please.
So we talked about, for hundreds of years. America, the colonies that would then become the United States of America. There have been strong reactions to Black women specifically and the way that they worn their hair. And then I'd like for you to just kind of give some context as to why that might be. If we can just go on a journey through the past.
Um,
So I'll set the stage for you and
yeah,
then
set
I'll
the
just,
stage.
yeah. So um let's say 1763, we are in the Louisiana colony.
Okay.
Spanish have taken it over. There's a community of free Black people who
Mm-hmm.
lived and worked in the territory. These free Black people in Louisiana, um, again, they weren't under control of the laws that govern slavery because they were free people. However, they were denied the rights and privileges that came with being what we know now as being white, right? So they were not considered citizens, Spanish citizens, or anything like that. Um, and so there was a particular concern about Black women being considered beautiful or attractive,
Mm-hmm.
and a growing concern about, again, what we would now consider white men being attracted to them.
Right.
So much so that and this comes from uh, NewYorkHistory.org, and it talks about settler colonialism and
Mm-hmm.
fashionable rebellion.
Yeah.
So much so that in 1786, the governor of Louisiana proclaimed that all free Black women must wear what's
Mm-hmm.
called a tignon,
Mm-hmm.
also known as a chignon, to make them different from free white women. And these tignons were headscarves, and they were worn typically by enslaved women to keep
Yeah.
their hair up while they worked.
Right.
And so free Black women, there was a law passed that free Black women too had to keep their hair up
Yeah.
with these
Mm-hmm.
hair scarves, um, because their hair, ironically, was considered, an attractive feature.
Yeah.
Curious to know what your response is.
I mean, yes. Um, it is really interesting that that shift has happened, right? We were once thought of as beautiful, attractive, our hair was exotic or unique, different, whatever the different terms were. It's and so in order for men to, I guess, act appropriately, women, Black women, had to hide themselves, right? Which is the start of saying, hey, I'm sure they didn't say, "Hey, your hair was so beautiful, okay, that you must cover it up." But instead, some little reverse psychology thing, your hair is just unattractive, you need to keep it covered. And that's the start of, in some ways, like self-loathing. However, what Black women do is leverage their creativity, right? And they took that opportunity
Exactly.
use those scarves to adorn themselves in different ways and create a different type of fashion sense as a
Yes,
rebellion.
zhuzh it up,
Yes,
a few jeweled head pins
yes.
and different colors and prints and all of the things. The the thing I'll say about I love most about being a Black woman is the way that we are able to innovate and be creative with our expression of ourselves through our appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so seeing that it, was an act that intended to be punitive and to create really kind of a subclass,
Yep.
and prevent miscegenation, right? Prevent, um, because then what happens? How do you acknowledge the humanity, or how do you discern between the humanity of free Black people and enslaved Black people who are seemingly inferior? Well, how are they inferior if white men are marrying free Black women and creating, mixed race children? And then, well, where do they stand? Are they
Right.
free? Are they slave? Like, this is the problem. The problem no one wanted to deal with. And so therefore we have these laws passed on pretext.
Yeah.
Um,
Which also added
so
layers of classism to that. Classism,
correct.
colorism just kind of embedded all into that, right? Because then you have different hair textures
Right.
that are deemed better, or the good hair versus bad hair, right? So the straighter or curlier it was, the better quality it was considered, versus the traditional tight kinky coils, which is pervasive
Yeah.
to this day.
Well, yeah, because when it comes to beauty, there's big bucks in beauty,
Yep,
right? The first Black woman to become a millionaire became so
yep.
because of her ability, Madam C.J. Walker, for those of you who didn't know, because of her ability to create opportunities for Black women to, better align themselves with Eurocentric ideals of beauty, which involved straight hair, right? So if you can use heat to straighten your curls and become more palatable to the ruling social economic class, then all the better.
Absolutely. And just a little footnote, I'm really bummed. Madam C.J. Walker's mansion is really, or was, not far from me, but I wanted to go do a tour, but it was closed or something was going on with it. And a friend of mine, though, knew her granddaughter and was going to try and get us in. But that hasn't happened yet. I might have to remind her. This was a couple of years
This
ago.
is your moment. Yes, this is the reminder. Add a +1. I want to come.
Okay. It's in Tarrytown, New York, which is not too far from me. So
Oh,
which is
wow.
awesome. So that would have been an amazing moment to walk through history. But yeah, and for so long too, you know, the business of Black hair has been incredibly lucrative. Okay, right? But in a sad way too, because it was really focused, like you said, on being more Eurocentric, straightening our hair, all sorts of ways that we wanted to get that particular look, And the thing about, I think more so today, we have more people embracing their natural hair, but leveraging all different types of ways to wear it, right? And that's their choice. As long as you're not, for me, as long as you're not trying to, like, you're not embarrassed about what's naturally growing out of your head, right? You're making choices to zhuzh it up like we do, right? That's what we do. Hey, like I like to say, Black people put seasoning on everything. All right. And that's what we do. We season up everything that we touch.
Right. And I love the point, because there's the line between adornment and creativity and pathology,
Mm,
right? and where does it fall to say, hey, you know, I believe that this is the standard and I will have more opportunity to do this versus, oh, this is cute.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it, right? Like, and that's, and then the question becomes, you know, for people listening, and they're like, is it really that serious? Yes, it is, because you have
It is.
um your ability to be accepted even in your own communities, right? If people perceive you, oh, well, you are very blatantly trying to align with or move away from advancement,
Right.
right?
Right.
There are generational shifts in what's accepted, right? Because,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, you know, this is not acceptable. But to make it fun, do you have any hair inspo? Any famous Black women who have served as inspiration for you? I have like two or three that I just think are phenomenal.
Man, famous Black women who serve as inspiration. And I'm trying to think about everybody's hairstyles. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's really like this is. I'm not gonna say it's like. All right, I'm a little embarrassed. So I watched the whole Real Housewives franchises,
Yes.
and I watched Atlanta and
It's a modern study in the socioeconomic dynamics of women. It's a feminist, and how often do we get to see women of a certain age having fun, not judging themselves? Okay, go on, please.
you know what? I'm gonna look at it from that perspective because it's
Yeah.
not like, you know, sometimes it's not that from that perspective. Okay. But what I love to also watch is just how they change up their looks and how
Yes.
with ease they do that unapologetically, you know,
Yes.
whether it's a short hairstyle one day or a long flowing, you know, hairstyle or whatever they're
Right.
doing. That to me, because they feel more like everyday people, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're not, but they feel a little bit more everyday. And it's just like, I love the fact that hair is viewed for them as an accessory, right?
Yes.
It changed in and out, you know,
And regardless of race,
regardless.
right? Whereas typically, and again, there's an interesting pivot, whereas like the belief that like weaves are only a thing that women of color do, or hair extensions, when hair extensions were most prevalent in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And that was a trend, and then to embrace that, you know, was something is sort of a source of shame or embarrassment or need to over explain for Black women. But I agree with you, because there's always a season 2 glow up, right? You see
Right.
how people are in season 1 and they have their hair, and then suddenly, you know, the styles, the extensions, you know, they're better quality.
Yep.
um
Yep.
I like that answer. I like that answer. I'm
And I want
thinking
to
of,
throw in Issa Rae.
oh yes.
I just whatever she's doing, whoever her stylist is, or if she's doing if she's doing it herself, I need some lessons. All right. She's always she uses her natural hair in such a beautiful way also.
Yes.
And it shows how versatile, you know, I think in general, like our hair is very versatile. I think from, you know, we go back to our originations, right? Like adornments, hairstyles, textures, all those different things were part of who we were, who we continue to be. And
Yes.
we're just remembering
Yes.
who we were a long time ago. It was a lot of that was stripped away. But it's in our DNA and it's coming through. But
Yes.
who are your inspos?
Okay, so I love a big hair moment. I
Ah,
love big hair. I love volume. I love all of that. So Shaka Khan.
ah, mm-hmm.
Shaka is like a hair inspo.
Yes.
Of course you have Diana Ross,
Oh yes. Classic.
right? Like,
Classic.
and then of course Mary J. Blige, because one, yes, she also wears her hair blonde, but she's worn it in so many different ways. Sometimes it's a platinum moment, other times it's more of a honey gold, but it's been a staple throughout her career. She's had, moments where she's gone red or whatever, but
Yeah.
more often than not, when you think of Mary J. Blige, that's what you think of.
Yeah.
And and she's not leaned into, so the prototypical dumb blonde
Mm-hmm.
stereotype, right? Like she's very intentionally shown who she is, and more often than not, it's like singing about something sad or but but there's always this sense of triumph and strength, and I appreciate that she is someone who is very feminine but also just strong, and also strong, not but, because you are feminine and strong. But yes.
Another fun fact from yesterday,
Mhm.
I was visiting, my son and I were hanging out, we're talking to this guy, and we were in White Plains, New York,
Mhm.
and we were not far from the Galleria. And this guy shared with me that Mary J. Blige was discovered in the Galleria. And I was like,
What?
what? It's like, I did not know that or remember that, right?
Right.
Yeah, so the Galleria is going to be torn down. So we actually talk. That's why we're talking about it, right? It's going
Oh
to,
no.
but she was supposedly discovered there. I need to Google that, make sure it's true. But just because you mentioned Mary, I was just talking about her yesterday. But one
Yep.
other person I think we should add to the list, because she has a particular hairstyle that nobody can duplicate, although many
Mhm.
have tried.
Mm.
Tina Turner.
Yes.
Her hair only looks fabulous on her,
That's true.
right? No wig, no
That's
nothing. Mm-mm.
Yeah, even like the tribute. Yeah. Yes.
Right? Nobody
It
can.
was like this, like a mullet situation
Yes,
happening, like a blonde mullet.
yes, yes. And it's fabulous on
It
her.
is. It is.
But any wig
It's
makes it look
so rock and
like,
roll and feminine and cool. Like she
yeah.
was so cool. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But you cannot get a Tina Turner wig to work to save your life. It's just never going to happen. Many have tried.
That's true. And and failed. So
Exactly.
another question for you. For anybody listening, and my hope is that people are listening and they're like, yes, absolutely. What do you say to the people who don't have the lived experience and want to be supportive of Black women and women of color in their hair journeys, who don't want to make suppositions about Black women and their hair?
One, don't be touching people, Black people hair. Okay.
Yeah.
Leave that alone. Okay.
Look with your eyes, not with your hands.
Right. Feel free to say someone's hair is beautiful. Okay. But and say, embrace that, like there's different textures, different styles, and feel free to compliment it. The compliment always makes people feel good. Um, and three, if you are in a position of any power or authority, right, be an advocate, right? Be an ally, right? And don't endorse any type of hair discrimination, whether it's part of the Crown Act or not, right? Look at Daryl George again, right? Like what he just needs is advocates to see him and his hair as not as a threat, right? Because that's ridiculous.
Right.
It's the follicles that's growing out of his head, and it's part of his culture. And fourth, just seek to understand. I'm just going to be a little bit like throwaway in this. Like, I don't see why you need to understand like too much about hair,
Right.
Black people hair. It's hair. I'm not looking to understand everybody else's hair texture. Maybe that's my own
Right.
limitation. But if you are seeing someone being treated poorly because of it, and it's not for a legitimate reason, like as you mentioned earlier, poor grooming. I mean,
Right.
real poor grooming, right?
Right. Exactly. actual lice, if a person is walking around like Pigpen from Charlie Brown with like a cloud of dust or dirt around them, that's what we're talking about.
It kind of make this really quick point.
Yes,
Black people don't get lice. Okay, y'all don't have to check.
that's
Like, in
true.
school, you gotta check everybody's hair. You can just skip the black people. Okay, they used to check my son who had like, what is a fade? I'm like, what you doing?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and scientifically, lice don't like black people's hair. So
Right.
there's that. So stop
Right.
projecting your issues.
On to what's happening here. Yes, we are going to get a bunch of people writing in. Well, there was this one time
Hear it. We want
I
to hear
got
it. Let's hear it. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but
right.
numbers are low.
Just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. But anyway, we could talk about hair all day.
We can, and we'll probably have another episode about it because it's complex.
It totally is. But until
I'm
then,
gonna bring some numbers. Yes.
yes, let's just keep wearing our hairstyles and putting in people's faces. And
that part, yes. my quest to be Shaka Khan at some point.
All right, until next time.
Until next time, be well. Talk soon. Bye.